everybody, this is 5 Minute Nerd. It's been a while, but I'm back to talk about Dungeons and Dragons with you. When I started looking into this mysterious game called D&D, there was one particular point that always left me dazzled and wondering. I understood the basics of the game and how players engage with each other, and that there's a dungeon master and there's puzzles and everything. But it took me some time to fully comprehend this. How the f*** do you fight in Dungeons and Dragons? Every time I tried to teach myself how battles work in Dungeons & Dragons, I found myself overwhelmed with rules and numbers to the point where I almost lost interest in the game because it sounded so complicated. Spoiler alert, it absolutely isn't. I don't want you to step into that same trap, so here's me trying to tell you about the very core mechanics of combat in Dungeons & Dragons as simple as possible. If you've never played D&D before, then there's one thing you need to know before we start right away. Every player has a character sheet. This piece of paper tells you everything you need to know about the character that you're playing. It tells you how fast you are, how strong you are, which languages you can speak, and what kind of attacks you can perform with your weapons. If you're not using a pre-made character out of the box, every number on this paper is determined during your character creation, which is a whole different topic, so don't worry about that right now. Number 1, initiative. You sit by the campfire, sharing stories of your latest ventures, when suddenly 3 goblins jump out of the bushes and attack. Roll initiative. When a battle erupts in D&D, like if you want to attack someone or someone attacks you, the game goes into a turn-based combat mode. The free-for-all adventure time is put on hold and we're entering something we call initiative. Every creature and every character has an initiative number that determines how fast it can jump into battle. Everyone involved in the fight rolls for initiative. The one with the highest score will have the first turn, and so on. From there on, the characters and creatures, played by the Dungeon Master, are taking turns attacking each other in the order they just rolled. Number 2, the battlefield. If you're playing with a map and some figures or a virtual map online, this is the point where the Dungeon Master determines your positions and those of your enemies. If you're playing a theater of mind game without any maps, the Dungeon Master will explain who is standing where and will give you a description of the surroundings. This is important because characters can only move up to a certain distance determined by their speed. So you can't just attack anyone across the room, you gotta actually reach the enemy, obviously. Number 3, it's your turn. Once it's your turn, you can do a lot of things. First, you can move towards or away from an enemy, up to your friends, across the map, anywhere within your guidelines. Second, you can do one major action. Cast a magic spell, use an object, try to hide, disengage, or of course you can just straight up attack. There's melee attacks for close encounters and ranged attacks for enemies further away. You can slash with a sword, stick with a pike, or shoot an arrow, anything. Once you chose who to attack and which weapon to use, it gets down to rolling the dice. Number 4, attacking the enemy. In Dungeons & Dragons, you attack an enemy by rolling a d20, the most important dice of the game, and adding the modifiers given by your character sheet. For example, if you attack with a simple sword, you roll a d20 and add your strength modifier listed right there to the roll. If you're also proficient with that kind of weapon, you add your proficiency bonus as well. The number you'll get in the end needs to be as high or higher than the so-called armor class of the enemy. A value every creature and character has in D&D based on the armor it's wearing and its general sturdiness. Now bear with me if all that sounds confusing to you right now. Don't worry, these numbers will make sense to you once you created your own character and you know where they come from. They are all on your sheet and you can put them right beside your weapon so you don't have to waste a single thought on number crunching when you're actually playing the game. Once you beat up a few goblins, you'll be able to do this on the fly without really thinking about it. So, to put it very simple, it basically comes down to this. I've got to roll something higher than the value of my enemy. And my abilities and weapons help me do that. Number 5, the damage is done. If you hit the enemy, you can roll for damage. Each weapon does a different amount of damage which you can roll for. That's what all these other fancy dice are for. A tiny dagger only does a d4 of damage, a mighty battle axe is rolled with a d8. The number you roll is taken from the enemy's hit points. If he's down to 0, he's finished. Same goes for you. If you get hit, you lose hit points. If you're down to 0, you get a few chances to survive by rolling death saves, but you're definitely out for the moment. Of course, there's much more to be said about the combat system, but I hope this gave you a general idea of how fighting works in Dungeons & Dragons. There are so many different types of weapons, types of damage, there are immunities, conditions, bonus actions. There's dying, and there's healing, there's opportunity attacks, and of course there's spell casting. Once you understood the very simple basics of how fighting works, you'll start to get strategic, you'll come up with playful ideas, and you'll want better equipment to actually pull them off. but we'll keep all that in mind for another video or two. I hope this was a little helpful to new players trying to get into the game. Let me know if there are any other topics that you'd like to see covered in a 5-minute video down there in the comments. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.